Yeah, okay. I was making 30,000 a week. The hardest part of flying is landing. When I touched down, man, it just hit me like,
What gave you that initial like fire?
you know what? Two things. My mom is the hardest working woman I've ever met.
Shout out to Ms. Mirta.
Yes, Miss Mom, we love you. Number two, when my dad went and tried to do his flight school and he didn't finish. So I almost feel like my mission is to finish it for him. I saw it, dude. Car hit us at 60 miles an hour while I'm like sitting still, dude. So hard that our car exploded. It was like a second chance at life, man.
All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Blueprints Podcast. On today's podcast, we have Mr. Olivier.
Yo.
Me and Mr. Olivier go back quite some time.
Yes, a little too far back. Not that far. Okay.
We were just reminiscing about the our golden years.
Yeah, man, I feel old.
You and me both, man. It's been over 10. We won't say exactly how many.
Over 10, which is, jeez, man. Yeah, it's over 10.
And a lot has happened. I think since the last time I've even seen you.
Man, SeaWorld? Back in SeaWorld. Yeah, that was 2009, 8. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's.
I just gave the
17? 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? 17.
Jeez, I'm old, man. It was high school. Wow. Now we got kids growing up. Man, it's different.
Big world.
Yeah.
Big dreams.
Life.
Big responsibilities.
Life is happening.
Life is life, right? I know, and you've had quite the journey, man. And
yeah, man.
And right now you're embarking on a couple of other ventures that we're gonna talk about soon.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. I mean, it's been quite a ride, even in Florida, and just taking on my West Coast life, and it's been a lot of things happening, but it's all for a good future for the kids, for everything. So proud of it. Wish I started earlier, but it's all good. I didn't have that foundation, I guess, when I was younger. But yeah, we'll dive into that later.
Okay. Well, speaking of foundation, man, let's just start where it all began.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about like your upbringing, your parents, where you grew up at, all that good stuff.
Just a small, Brooklyn kid. I was born in Brooklyn, born and raised. Still try to keep the New York, in me, but I lost it a long time ago. So, yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn. I left when I was, actually, I didn't leave by choice. I was a kid and whatnot, but, some kids, you get some type of leeway in talking. Not with Haitian parents. My parents are from Haiti, and they don't care. It's their way, and that's it. Their way, get the hell out. But my dad had left Brooklyn, and he went to flight school in Oklahoma. So my mom had a restaurant in Brooklyn. We grew up in the restaurant. That was kind of the bread and butter. That's what got us all up and raised. Still in, low-income areas and whatnot. But, she made a living for us. And he moved to Oklahoma to start his flight career. And then one summer, we went to visit, me and my brother Theo went out to visit him in Oklahoma. And my oldest brother took us there. And, told my kids, hey, see you in 5th grade, come on, see you, whatever. And then that summer, back in the day, when you buy plane tickets, you go to the airport to buy plane tickets. So summer was over, went to the airport, get plane tickets. My dad bought one ticket. So me and Theo looking like, the heck, why is he buying one ticket? It's 3 of us. So I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, why you buying one ticket? It's 3. He's like, y'all not going nowhere. Y'all staying here. And we're like, excuse me? What? I was a kid at that time, so I couldn't really say much. It's just, I was like, what the heck? I'm an Oklahoma kid now. And boy, let me tell you, that rude awakening from Brooklyn to Oklahoma, it was rough. I got in fights all the time, and, I was I was really the minority there, and it was just a rude awakening. But it was a good life lesson, I guess, because I was raised in, the hoods of Brooklyn to the rural yeehaw of Oklahoma. And, I had to just not adapt, but I had to just kind of get with it, So that was kind of that. And my dad, he never finished flight school because he had too many damn kids. But that's where my passion started, for flight and then for piloting and stuff. So it was rooted from my dad.
So how old were you when you were in Oklahoma?
I moved to Oklahoma when I was about 9 or 10. Yeah, 9, 10 years old, yeah.
And you're one of?
I'm one of 6.
Okay.
So 6, yeah, my dad has 6 kids. I have Two half. You know my younger brother Ben.
Yes.
Yeah, Ben, and then I have a younger sister as well. So I'm the last from my mom. So I'm like the spoiled child. I'm the favorite, which is always good. They call me a mama's boy. I guess I am. I don't know. That's what I saw before I came here. So perks of being in this industry.
So you lasted in Oklahoma how long before you moved? Because I met you here in Florida.
Yeah. So I left Oklahoma after 3-4 years. My mom sold her restaurant, came out to Oklahoma. She hated it. And then she bought a house in Florida. And then that's when we moved to Florida. So I think I came here when I was about 13, started 8th grade in Orlando. So that was, yeah. So I think about 3 years in Oklahoma. But you know what? That 3 years, it was cool. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about culture, race, because, you know, Brooklyn was not Oklahoma at all. And, you know, I had to learn the hard way. I got in a lot of fights. I whooped a lot of ass. But it was good times. And it taught me a lot about me. And also when I went to Orlando, it taught me like a big mix, you know, because I think Brooklyn was more just, you know, urban than anything. A lot of Caribbean, Latin, all that stuff. Oklahoma was just more of just a different world, and I had to learn it because it's like, this is out here. You know, you thought you read this in books. No, it's out here. You know,
It's
as
real.
a kid, learning that as a kid, it was a rude awakening, but it was good to be taught that, you know.
It was
And
like a
then,
good building block, I think.
Exactly. And even in my church, I went to an all white church, but the people were so lovely. I still call her. She's like my third mom, man. We still talk to this day, and got a good foundation from them as well. But yeah, it was cool.
So it was like a necessary. You didn't know was necessary.
Yeah, correct. This is very necessary. And you know, even though my dad, the way he did it was terrible, and I still want to punch him in the neck for it, but you know, hey,
That
it was because, you know, like, you're a kid, you know, you don't just do that. You at least set us up for it and say, okay, hey, you guys are moving here. Don't say, oh yeah, you're going back to. He never had plans to, you know, send us back.
You know, it's crazy. That kind of happened to me in like a different way. When I was, I think it was 4 or 5, we went to Ecuador for like a summer, and we ended up staying there for like a year. And my dad came back to the States, and he worked. We stayed at my aunt's house. Yeah, a little room in like the back of our house. And I mean, I guess I didn't realize what was happening. I just figured like this was what all kids went through at that stage.
Yep.
But you know, I still remember going to kindergarten there. You know, the kids. I was the gringo. I was the white boy essentially.
The outcast,
yeah, because everybody from there was like from Ecuador.
Exactly.
And I'm like, my mom is from Ecuador.
Yep.
So I was a descendant of an Ecuadorian, but I was an Ecuadorian myself, right?
Makes sense.
So the teachers were like, "Oh, el americano, the American kid."
Yep.
Even over there, even for that year, even though I was 5, you see a lot of poverty, and I try to relay that to my kids. And I'm sure you've been to Haiti. And Haiti's, I'm assuming, very similar.
Heck yeah, definitely.
So that was like a total shock for me.
Exactly. It's so true. You know, being the outcast, to go back on that, it's funny because my biggest thing growing up in Oklahoma was the way I talked, and I just got made fun of all day because, you know, I'm a Brooklyn kid, so everything was a hot dog, a coffee, and why do you talk like that? And then the thing that I couldn't get was soda. Because they don't say so. They say pop. And I'm like, oh, yeah, can I get a pop? I was like, what? I mean, pop you in the head? Like, what the heck is a pop? You know, I didn't know pop, so everything was soda to me.
Pop was a punch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, but in Oklahoma it was pop. I'm like, what the heck? So it was just getting, and then I got made fun of so much for talking like Tulsa was Tulsa. Because, you know, I had a little twang, you know, whatever. But like you said, you know, trying to teach your kids, like, we grew up differently, man. And I'm pretty sure our parents said the same thing with us. Like, we're so spoiled, but these kids nowadays, man, is like, they don't get it, you know?
Yeah, yes, that's a fact. So 13, you're here in Florida.
Yep, came to Florida, Orlando, went to Robbinswood Middle School, and went there, and then got into, you know, band, the fundamentals of, you know, just being a middle school kid, trying to find something. Then ended up, I knew I didn't want to go to Evans as a high schooler because I'm like, yeah, that's a little too thuggish for me, too gangster for me. But I ended up, you know, going to Hungerford, and I still played for Evans band, so I was still kind of part of it, you know. Evan's band was it was fun as heck. Don't get me wrong, but it was a lot of like, dang, like, what the heck's going on here? It was crazy.
You're
But
not in Oklahoma anymore.
not Oklahoma. Yeah, yeah. The Hungerford was also cool as well. I wish I had made a better high school experience and just enjoyed more of the moments. But I'll never forget 8th grade writing that letter to get into Hungerford, that magnet school, or what it was called. And it felt good to get accepted. I was like, I'm doing something cool for myself. I'm going into global business. Business was always my major. That was my background. I knew I was going to do something in business, have my own business, and taught me good stuff. But did I always know, like, that how to say it? So growing up, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. Really, hotel management is what I wanted to get into. And then after being in the industry, I'm like, heck no, like, what the heck? Doing all this and going to school for like, I'm like, nah. Yeah.
I
But
think the idea of hospitality sounds better than actual hospitality.
exactly.
Not to knock anybody out there in the hotel industry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's tough.
It's really tough. And trust me, I've worked right now what I'm doing is customer facing, but it's different. I've worked many retail customer facing, some restaurant stuff, and it's just like, man, it's hard. It's a lot of work. And like you said, power to you all, but it's just not what I saw myself doing for 20, 30 years. So if I had a second career, a third, maybe I'd tap into it, but I need more money, man. I'm just like, yeah.
I think that's the reality, man. It's just, you got to evaluate it. I think a lot of kids or young adults that graduate high school, they don't have that guidance.
Correct.
They just kind of get like enamored over an idea of having something,
Yep.
which is cool, right?
Yep.
But they don't realize either the work that comes with it or what the outcome of that work is, and
Exactly.
whether that outcome of that work is going to be worth it or not.
Yep.
And if they can see themselves doing it in the next 30 years.
Exactly.
So I think, in my opinion, I think it's absolutely diabolical to expect a 17, 18-year-old to decide on a degree, study for 4 years, and expect them to go right into the workforce and work for probably 40 years.
And you know what I've always said, and I just don't want to be mistaken, but I feel like the system is backwards. So to say, like, going to college right after, like, some kids are 16, 17 getting to college,
Yeah.
and they're just going because your parents told you to go to college. They don't know what they want to do. I've talked to many people and psychologists and therapists, and they said your brain is not fully developed till you're 25. Till you're 25, that's when your brain is actually fully developed.
Wow, I've never
So
heard that.
you're sending a 17, 18-year-old to college that wants to get into the workforce or in the world and do this because they're being told to. No, I always felt like, you know what, it's better to get this kid working first, get him into like something for 2 years, like a work program, and actually test out the world before they actually get into it and finally or fully find out what they want to do, and then go to college, be like, you know what? I think I could do this for the next 30, 40 years. That's why there's so many career changes. In my industry right now, it's so funny, like flight attendants, pilots, there's so many retired cops, nurses, firefighters, like all that theater, and then they come here and like, was yeah, they just say like, it's a career change for me because this was just what I was kind of told to do. I went into it. Yeah, I liked it, but I want to be somewhere else like this, travel. Why you want to do this? I want to travel. Yeah, boom. You're in the right place.
Mm.
But if they don't have guidance at home, man, like even when I was growing up, I didn't have much. My parents worked, they worked so much, and their job as Haitian parents was to make sure there's food in the house, there's a house over your head. And that was like their job, but everything else, you figure it out.
Yeah, you had to. And I mean, my parents come from Ecuador, like I mentioned, and my dad's Colombian.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. But their ideology or how they're raised is they come over here for an opportunity for their kids, not necessarily for them always.
Correct.
But the way it is in their country, and I think maybe Haiti's the same, is you work, you go to school, you graduate, you get a nice high-paying job, lawyer, judge, doctor, engineer, architect, whatever it is. And then you do that for 40, 50 years, and then hopefully you retire happy.
That is the thing. I'm thinking of a saying. Every Haitian knows a saying in Creole, when you grow up, You're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or I don't want to be a doctor. That's what you're going to, that's just the Haitian fundamental, man. You're going to grow up to become a doctor, and that's it. No questions asked.
That's the
I'm
end
like,
all be
okay.
all.
Yep, my dad's on. Yeah, you give me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be no doctor. I hate math, first of all. And I'm not sitting in, science class. No, thank you. Nope.
Yeah, for 8 years or 10 years
Yeah.
after you were in school for 12 years.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of student were you in Robert Hunger?
So student-wise, my freshman year, of course, I had to come out my shell a little bit. But I was, man, from freshman all the way to senior, I would say I just slowly progressed into the class clown. I was just a clown, man. I just enjoy making people laugh or just naturally being funny. I don't know. And I think junior and senior, when I got a car, I was the king of skipping class, and it's not that I don't know. It just felt like school was so boring, man. It was so easy and boring. I'm like, every day I went to school to think, how can I skip today? How am I gonna get out of Miss Cumberbatch's class or Miss King's class? Rest in peace to both of them because they both passed. But how am I gonna get out of their class today? I just can I use the bathroom? I take my bag with me. I usually parked right outside her portable. Start the car. I think one time she came out. Where you going? I'm just, peace. I'm out. I used to just take off, man. But anyway, Miss K, she's like, hey, you're gonna fail. I'm like, what do you mean I'm gonna fail? Yeah, you're at a distance, and I just let everything just tank, man. It was just like, it was stupid of me because I'm like, I know I'm not dumb or whatnot, and I'm just lazy. And sure enough, in like 2 weeks, I got everything back up. High school was fun. That's why I said I wish I could have taken it more seriously. And, I got scholarships and everything. I knew kind of my path from there, but I just didn't take it seriously my last year. But in the back of my head, I knew that after high school is just fun and games. But after high school, it's time to level up in life. Yeah. So that was kind of the high school years for me.
So coming out of high school.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you got out of high school?
Well, there's a little twist to this because SeaWorld kind of made me who I am. Because remember, I came from Oklahoma, and after leaving Oklahoma and going to Orlando, I was just kind of comfortable. I was just comfortable. I wasn't on my toes all the time. But when I got to SeaWorld, there was a manager I'll never forget, supervisor. I won't say his name, but it's a supervisor.
Oh, you got to say it, man. It's been too long.
His name was Diego. Okay. And then I saw these guys walk in one day from another department. They were suited. They had like the nice name tag. I'm like, who's that? Oh, that's marketing. Like marketing? Like marketing for, like, yeah. Like, man, one day I want to work for there. You? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you'd never work for them. And I kind of looked at him like, why not? It's like, yeah, you that's a whole nother level of SeaWorld. You're not, basically, you're not good enough to work for that department. And that stayed in my brain, man. And it made me like think like, dang, I feel like I'm back in Oklahoma. Like, I feel like I'm being tried right now. And I think I just turned on like Game Time. I'm like, that's what you think, huh? Shit, you not, man. Went from working JTA during to Atlantis, and then I became promoted to a supervisor on the other side of the park. And then that's when I met Tony Moore. I don't know if you know who Tony Moore was. He was the VP of SeaWorld. He was the vice president, black dude. Cool ass dude. He was the number 2 guy in SeaWorld. I made friends with him. I talked to him all the time. And I told him, hey, this is where I want to be. I did some internships with him over in marketing. And when it came time to apply, I applied. And I got a reference letter from Tony Moore, the VP of SeaWorld. And guess who got that job? I did.
My boy,
and you know what? It was just like a lesson, like, don't tell me I can't do something. Don't ever. And I went back to him with my cool name tag. Like, hey, Diego, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, where are you now? Marketing. And, it was just like that impression, like, dude, like, F you. Like, don't tell me.
Don't limit you.
Don't just think just because I'm a color or that I'm this kid from a hood that I can't do what I put my mind to. So I went up into marketing. 6 months later, they offered me a position, and I'm like, yeah, I've had enough of that. It's time for me to pack up and go. And that's when I moved to California. So I kind of took that under my wing, and I said, you know what? That's how I'm going to treat every lesson in life like. And that just excelled me from there.
So that was like your chip.
That was my chip. That was my eye opener. And I got what was so easy to get. You just got to network properly, and then you got to just present yourself in a way to where, okay, I'm the face of SeaWorld, and that was my best job at SeaWorld. I was in Miami, I was in Atlanta, I was all over Florida marketing SeaWorld. I drove the Shamu cars for a bit. That was fun. It was a good lesson, and we had to do like some presentation at the end to like how can we get SeaWorld on the map or how can we promote farther. And I came up with this royalty idea with Carnival Cruise Lines and how we can put a Shamu on the side of it. Was awesome, man. I learned a lot about myself. When you push yourself to something that you can do, just go out and do it. Don't let
So that
nobody
was
tell you.
uncomfortable for
Yeah, it
and
was
that's what
because
you.
I let that just it always till this day. How old am I now? But yeah, till this day, from that day, I never forget what that dude told me, and then it's like, nah, man, don't try me like that. There's no reason for you to say that.
So take us back to what brought you to leave Florida. I mean, you had a pretty solid job at SeaWorld,
Yeah,
right? You would say
yeah, it
at
was
that
cool.
point in time.
Yep.
What drove you to drive to California? Because
Yeah.
I remember you drove
Yeah.
there, right?
Yep.
It was you.
I flew,
Theo?
and then that's when Carl moved out, my buddy Carl, and then
And
we came
Carl.
back, and then we drove. Yeah, we did. That was the second trip. That was like 6 months after I officially moved there. But man, California was because I had an outlet. My brother, who he didn't even want me to live with him, but this was my oldest brother, Philippe, my oldest brother. So he was in the Marines. He's the one that got into UC Berkeley. He was at he got into Haas, which is the elite business school of UC Berkeley. So number 2 in the country at the time. And, he's proud of it. And I'm proud of him for that because, he worked his ass off to get there. He finished the Marines out in San Diego, and then he got into Berkeley up there. So I'm like, damn, I want to go to a prestigious school. Yeah, I want to go up there. But I just needed a change from Florida, man. I felt like I was like in a roadblock, like my limit after hitting marketing. I'm like, man, what else is in Florida for me, So I feel like I need to get as far away as possible and just live like on my own and do something different and just challenge myself. 'Cause at that age, I was 18, 19. I just need to challenge myself of what I can do next, I love money. I still do love money. Well, money's like a tool now. That's how I see it. But that's what brought me in California. And then that's why I got, into finance, Wells Fargo. Then I went to AT&T, which, I made plenty of money. I made a lot of money as a kid. I was like, what, 19? And then it still wasn't enough for me. It didn't give me, the money was great, but it didn't give me that, I could do this every day,
For the next 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. That was California. And you know what? The living was great. When I tell you diversity is a different diversity than Florida, that's more your Western or Pacific Asian and just that type of melting pot. But I learned a lot from living there as well. Everywhere I moved to, I got a good grounding of myself through the environment that I was in, So California was good till it was time for me to like change it up. And my last career there was AT&T, and I was moving up in that retail world, from sales, top sales in the country to top sales in California. I can do it, and it was fun doing it. And I was moving up to, store manager and all that stuff. And I'm like, hold up. Do I really want to do this? And I got passed up for a promotion. And that's what made me like, yeah, you
At
know what?
AT&T?
Yeah, I did. And when I got passed up for that promotion, I was asked to train that person and now it's like, exactly.
What?
Yep. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. I see where this is going. And this is just politics. This is where it comes in. And this is what I don't want to play with.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's bad.
Yep.
I would have been upset too.
I was, and that's when I was like, but you know what? It was for a reason. It was set in stone right there for me to say, okay, it's time for me to find something that I really want to do. And in the back of my head, actually in the front of my head, I was always piloting, man. It was always becoming a pilot and, actually going down that path. I had one of my friends that worked at AT&T, her name Rosemary. She worked at AT&T. She said, hey, man, like, why don't you go work at the airport? Like, you always talking about planes. And I always did talk about planes and everything. Why don't you go? I'm like, what do you mean work at the airport? Yeah, go work for an airline, man. You get benefits, you get flight benefits, and you can, go work with the planes like you want. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, look, You know? Yeah.
It was just like you knew it, but somebody had to kind of like tell you.
me. Yeah. She's like, hey, Southwest is hiring. I'm like, Southwest Airlines? Like, yeah, go look. You just go apply. San Francisco. Wait, I have to cross crossing the bridge. I lived on the other side of San Francisco. So I have to cross the bridge every day. $7 to cross the bridge. I'm like, how the hell am I going to afford that? It's like, whatever, apply. So I applied to, San Francisco. Long story short, got the interview, got the job. And even in the job, she's like, are you sure you're going to cross the bridge? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I need a job, And it was just kind of just a weird interview process, man. But I got in.
But what does that mean, like crossing the bridge? Like, is that like a taboo thing or?
No, literally crossing the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Like I lived on like let's say the Berkeley side or the Oakland side. You have to cross a bridge because the Golden Gate, and then there's the Bay Bridge. Bay Bridge is the one that everybody crosses every day to get to work. San Francisco Airport was across the Bay Bridge. It's $7 a day to cross that bridge.
Oh, $7.
Yes, exactly.
Each way or one?
One way, getting into the city.
Day.
No, one way. No, just $7 a day. So in a week, you're paying, 35 and up. If you're working 5-6 days a week, yeah, every time you cross that bridge. And it's even more now. That's back when I was living. It was $7. I think it's like $9 now or something, but it's expensive,
Sheesh.
Not only that, getting hired there, I took a $40,000 pay cut to leave AT&T to go to Southwest.
Oh, man.
Yes. So it was like, okay, I got to really love planes and piloting and all this stuff to go do this and take a $40,000 pay cut. But at the time, I was like, okay, it's a challenge. I got to challenge myself. Let's see what I can do with this,
And this was what year?
This was 2015.
So what was your role initially with the...
I started off as a customer service agent, the front gate agent. It's the worst job at Southwest. That was the worst. And I say that loudly. Power to all my friends that are still customer service agents.
To those customer service
yes, because it is a hard... You know why it's hard? Because
lines.
Passengers don't respect you, man. Passengers... they get to the airport and they get stupid, and they lose their minds. I'm just being real. I'm still in this industry 10 years later, but it's just, it blows my mind, man. You get in the airport and the brain is out. That's how it is. And we have to take the brunt of it. But I went from customer service. Then I got a little lateral promotion to the operations agent. So I worked in the back where it was the best one for me on the ground. It was, you actually load the plane with the passengers. You're like the quarterback. That's the best way I can say. You're the quarterback of that team. You got the passengers, you got your pilots, you got your flight attendants. You are the one making sure everyone is working together to get that plane out of here. And you load the fuel, you talk to dispatch in Dallas, you talk to your passengers, you talk to your pilots, and then you're the one that says, go. Whenever that plane door is shut, you shut that door and you send that plane off. So that was my job for about a year. That was the best position because, I got to work with the plane. That's where I wanted to be. And then after that, I made the dumb decision to go management. But that's what got me to Phoenix. After I started working that position, that's where I started finding out more and more, okay, pilot is my thing. That's when I started researching like crazy. I took my first discovery flight, which is where you go up and you just go and say, hey, is this what I want to do? You actually get to take off. Like the first time I got in a plane was in California. I got in with an instructor. He said, this is just the fundamentals of flying. You get to test it out up there. And dude, man, we went out, man, the first time, flew over the Golden Gate Bridge, did a few turns. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like,
you were hooked.
It was done deal.
It was a wrap.
After that, my next thing was, how the heck am I going to pay for this? I got to find a way to get this in the books because it's expensive. $40,000 pay cut. How's it going to happen? So,
what year was this? This was what, 2017?
2017, correct. 2016, 2017. And then that's when I started planning, researching like crazy, like, how do I do this? How do I find a college or university where I can get into to do flight school? So there was a few in the country, and the one that made the most sense was Arizona. I went out to Oregon to check out a few flight schools because there was some up there, and then I went to Arizona. And Arizona made the most sense because it was also a base for Southwest. I can find a way to transfer out there, and that's what happened. I actually got a promotion to management, and they moved me out there, and I got accepted into ASU at the same time. and I made it happen. And that's how I started my flight career in 2018. And yeah, that was my transition from California to Arizona. Now, when I moved there, started flying, started doing everything, the job I despised it because management, it was back into, just daycare. Daycare. Passengers are the worst, let me tell you. The cops in Phoenix Airport knew me by name. What is it today? Because I don't know what it was, but everybody wanted to fight me, You know why? It's because I didn't put up with nobody. It's like, listen, if you're drunk, like the passengers, Friday nights at Southwest Terminal was horrendous because passengers come drunk as hell, going to Vegas, and they think they can try you. And I just didn't let nobody try me,
Brooklyn
Yeah.
came back out.
Exactly, you're messing with my
Brooklyn let him left.
employees. Exactly, you're messing with my employees. You're messing with 100. It was 175 people on the plane. 174 passengers are waiting on you to be. No, get off this plane right now and come talk to me outside. When you kick them off the plane is gone and they're pissed. I had. You don't know the names I got called, man. Like, one thing I'll tell you, man, great experiences from the ground all the way to where I'm at now. Like, just learning about leadership, learning about people, because you learn people like crazy. And it all taught me something of where I want to be, which is what I'm currently working to. So after that whole ground experience, I got, I was like 1 year in that. I'm like, okay, what's the next challenge, And that's where I'm at now. I've been a flight attendant. I got not promoted. I applied to be a flight attendant with Southwest, and that happened in 2018. So, 2018? Yeah, 2018, 2019-ish. So that's when I started flight attending, and 8 years later, almost 8 years. It's about to be 8 years, and I've been doing that for 8 years now. So in the midst of all that, the flexibility of being a flight attendant is, I can explain to you some things. I'll keep it in the short end, but it's the best union ever.
Tell me a little bit about the trucking company, because I know you did that for quite a while.
So that started. How
did that even come about?
It was because I'm always on the hustle, man. Like, I started having kids, and I'm like, dang, man, geez, I'm catching up to my mom and dad. 6 kids, So when I met my lady in San Francisco, she came into the picture like right as I was leaving the city, and I inherited 2 bonus kids with my 2 older daughters, Daniela, Brianna, 22 now. She just turned 22, and the other one's 16. So,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yep. So
they're older. Yeah, exactly. Actually, the 22-year Brianna, she's gonna start flight attending. She actually just got on with Southwest, which is a huge accomplishment. It's hard to get in, man. It really is. But she kind of just followed the ropes and saw her way. And what I tell people like her, if you don't have to go to college, none of that. There's flight attendants that are topped out right now. They make $90 an hour topped out, $95 an hour topped out as a flight attendant. Dude, they're making like, depending on how you work and how much you want to work, they make over $100,000 a year. So picture her 22, and then in 10, 12 years when she's topped out at less than 35, she's going to be making, I'm like, you'll be set, and our contracts only get better. So she's on her way to doing good things. So I'm proud of her.
Good for her. Shout out to Brianna, man.
But when I met her, they moved over to Phoenix with me like about 10, 11 months after I moved there. Started the flight attending, and then in the midst of that, before COVID, I started saying, hey, like, what can I do like on the side? Because everybody had side jobs at Southwest, and I'm like, what can I do?
That flexibility, man. I mean, who wouldn't?
Exactly, So I'm like, what can I do to bring in extra income? I started thinking about real estate. I'm like, now the economy's going down. Started thinking about everything. And then I always had a niche, transportation. I don't know if you know about Haitians in transportation. We love transportation, boats, trains, taxis.
Frame that. Like, I don't know if you know anything about Haitians, but we love transportation.
But dude, man, so I started looking.
Oh, that's funny.
And trucking was always something I wanted to dabble in, and I just looked at the ins and outs, the cost versus everything in it, and I'm like, you know what, let's start. It's my people, man, but I gotta be real. So that's why I got the break.
As long as it pays the bills, man.
Exactly.
Some of those guys do real good.
Exactly. So that's when I started the trucking. Bought my first truck in 2020. So this is right in the middle of COVID, but that's when an influx, I don't know, the economy trucks needed to move, and they were moving and making loot money. You know, I'm like, damn, let me see if I could jump on that train because I wanted to do this anyway. So I bought my first truck, got my first driver, and started just hauling loads, man, across the country. And this was 2020. At the end of 2020, I ended off with 2 trucks. And then fast forward, by 2023, I had 6 trucks. And it was great, man. It was really good up until the fact I got into me. I got into my, man, this is not me, you know, but you know what? I got my house. I, was able to raise a family but it was just not me, man. It was just like every day was maintenance. Every day was drivers bitching, like just drivers complaining at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting, hey man, where do I go to get fuel? What do you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning? Where do you get fuel from? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't pay you to call me for dumb questions, you know?
That's a silly question.
Dude, man, like you would be surprised. So, and truckers are independent. They're alone all the time. So they need somebody to talk to. That's what it is. They're driving. Usually my drivers drove 3 times out of the week. And then we're home for like 3-4 days, 3 weeks on, 4 days off. But I paid very well. And a lot of them stay with me. Had some people abandon trucks in the middle of nowhere. Like, that's just what truckers do, man. Like, they just have no respect,
Like your truck?
Yes, man. Like, I got a truck abandoned in Kansas before. I got one abandoned in Baltimore. Hey, man, I'm parking your truck here. I quit. And they just walk off. I'm like, yeah. So,
What?
Dude.
So how does that even? How do you retrieve the truck? You just call a tow truck and have it towed?
Heck, no. You gotta fly out. You gotta fly somebody there. I usually flew out sometimes.
And you drove it back.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I didn't have a CDL. I never drove. I never legally drove. I didn't have a CDL. I just stayed in the office, and then I just made sure all the trucks were out, made all that stuff.
So you handled the logistics.
Exactly.
Of it.
But that was a mistake on my end. I should have got a CDL because I would have been in the company more, you know what I mean? Instead of paying somebody to do what I can do. That's one of the reasons why I feel like, maybe I just said I'm done with this, But anyway.
What were the pros and cons of that business? Because I know trucking, I have a friend of a family member who's in that, and she does very, very well for herself.
So I feel like one thing I did, I scaled too fast. I grew too fast. And one thing, pros with this, you can make lots of money. But you can get, one of the biggest cons is you can get in debt real quick. So
yeah, buying trucks.
Oh my
trucks
God,
are not cheap.
they are not cheap, and maintenance is just, you want to buy equipment that can have a warranty on, or something, because that cost will catch up to you, and it will just, and that's what started happening to me, man. That cost started catching up, and it was like maintenance after maintenance, and then all of a sudden, when I don't want to say Biden economy, but when that economy was crazy in the Biden days, when fuel was $6 a mile or a gallon for diesel, I was making I was paying for about, at the time I was paying $8,000 a week for fuel. And then when it went up to 6, it went to $14,000 a week for fuel for 6 trucks. And the rates stayed the same. They never went up. So the same rate that I was paying for 8,000, that started, okay, yeah.
That's a significant, was it 80%?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So you go from 8,000 to 14,000, and then actually the miles per dollar per mile was going down. So average, trip or load was like $2.50 a mile, which is pretty good average at 8,000, for that fuel. But when it starts going down to 220 and then 210, and then you're getting,
going up.
How does a small business survive,
Oh,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah. So then you start just thinking like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? And then I bought 2 new trucks at the time with payments that were, about $4,000 a month for one truck, and 4,000, so $8,000 a month for that. And then you have insurance that's like $10,000 a month. So yeah, you make money, but your bills are like, you're making,
crazy.
Okay, I was making $30,000 a week,
But this is before expenses.
Before expenses, exactly.
So what is it, a month, 3 times 4 is $120,000 a month?
Exactly. And then your expenses could have been anywhere from 110, so and then after all payments, everything, I paid myself left for 700. Are you what? So, and then granted, yeah, I scaled too quick. I could have started off and just with that one paid off truck, let that for a year. But then when you saw that it was just good, it was good, it was good.
Yeah, of course, in your brain, you start multiplying, like, oh, if I can do this with one,
Exactly.
what if I get two?
Exactly.
When you see what you do with two, then you're like, what if I get four? Then you start kind of like,
yep. And you don't take in the fact of maintenance and fuel are the two things that killed me.
Those are the biggest
killers,
expenses.
yeah. But fuel, yeah, that it was just one of those things like, hey, you pick your battle, man. Do you keep going and just keep running to the ground, or what do you do? And that's when I called it quits in 2024. I was like, man, I'm way over my head. I sold all the trucks, I sold all the equipment, and I just got rid of the company, man. We left on a good note to where like my drivers, like some of my drivers are like hardcore, and I just gave them a heads up, like, hey, man, we're gonna be ceasing operation. And at that time, I was like, man, like, what's next? And then it just hit me. It just hit me in my head. It's like, what do you mean, what's next, dude? Why'd you move to Arizona? And I'm like, I know I moved to. I'm like, you know what? Let me just suck it up and just get this thing done, man. Like, let me.
Did you bring that up yourself, or was it like your wife got in your head, or you started, laying down one night in bed, like I think all entrepreneurs do, and your mind is just like, man, what can I do? What can I do?
So funny, true story. It was so a few things happened in my life, and I got in a pretty bad accident. I had a big old SUV.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember. I saw the pictures of that.
Yeah, so thank God it was me and the wife in there, only us, and the kids stayed home. And I just thank God every day, dude. We're just on the highway, doing about. Actually, we came to a full stop because there's rush hour traffic, and I just see this car coming behind me, like, what's going on? Like, this car's not stopping, my babe. I'm like, babe, that car's not. And then I was like, babe. And I just braced because I saw it, dude. Car hit us at 60 miles an hour while I'm like sitting still, dude. So hard that our car just basically exploded. It caught on fire. They hit us so hard, they went under us. It was a, Yukon XL. Their engine caught on fire and then lit up our diesel tank. And I was able to get her seatbelt was stuck. It was just the craziest freak accident, man. And it was like a second chance at life, man. Because think about it. If the way that thing went up in flames, I could have passed out and I could have woke up and I could have already been, engulfed in that flame. So when I got out, man, and I got her out and I'm just sitting in the hospital, and then the trooper came to the hospital. He's like, hey, man, like, he just stopped. He's like, hey, man, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yeah, what's that? He's like, why'd you let off your brake? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you got off your brake. I'm like, yeah, I did. And he's like, why'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just the reaction. And I just lift my foot. And he said, well, that saved your life, right? Because the way that car hit you, you guys would not have been dead. They would have been dead for sure. They would have been in your back seat. You guys would have been dead or in surgery right now. So you saved everybody's life in that situation. And when I just went into tears at that moment in the hospital. He came to the hospital and they were like teenagers texting and driving. Yeah, man. Dude, man, when I tell you, like, I was like, wow, like, who would have thought, something like that. And, you wake up to go somewhere one day and then boom, you're in the hospital and your car is just in go. You're just watching your car burn, and I'm like, wow. So it kind of gave me this thinking of like, dude, you only get one life. You really only get one life. It can get taken away that quick, and just that instant right there. One thing I did saved everybody's life.
Yeah, because it allowed them to push the car forward.
Correct. They hit us so hard. There was never no brake marks from that car. They hit us so hard that we moved 100 feet. I blacked out a little bit because I don't remember moving that, but 100 feet, like that's pretty far. He said, dude, man, you stopped that car, and thank God you had that big truck because you
oh, man, it would have been like in a Civic or like, oh, my
it would have been a wrap.
With the kids, God forbid.
Exactly. It would have been a wrap, And that just gave me, and then after that, I saw a therapist because I was having, that going on. And then the business was just taking over my head. And I just had my twins and just life was happening. Life was lifing, man. And I'm like, you know what? That's when I had that moment, in bed or wherever I was. And I'm like, shut the business down. You'll do you. Just shut the business down. And June 2024 is when I made that decision. Shut it down, get rid of it all, and start over, You live one life. And that's why I kept thinking, you live one life, man. You know what you want to do. You know exactly what you want to do. And I shit you not, man. Till this day, that was the best decision I made because not only the stress went away, not only, that happiness came out, but the day that I got in that cockpit again to start my first flight lesson, March, that first video I made, March, that's it. I look back and I'm like, man, like this is where I was supposed to be since day one, So everything I did in between was just like little roadblocks. You don't realize a roadblock or, like a halt in life, but this is exactly where I was supposed to be, man. I did my cross country flight yesterday, right before work, man. I just got out and it's just, I'm prepping my flight. I'm doing everything. Wow, I'm doing this now. Everything that stopped me, there was so many things that stopped. The medical process is a tough one, Got through that, got through the financial part, everything. And I'm still working at it, But that's what got me to where I am today, man. That day, June 2024, when I finally made that decision to shut down the company, it was able to open up like the real passion of what I want to do. I like what I do now. I love it actually. But I got one more seat to get, man. Like I told you, I started from the ground all the way up, and I'm not stopping until I get there. So, yeah, man.
What do you think halted you all these years? Because you knew since you sat down, since you had talked about Oklahoma, like you kind of knew that you wanted to be a pilot. What do you think held you up all that time and made you kind of deviate, whether it was consciously or whether it was subconsciously, to other things and other challenges when you ultimately knew what you wanted to do?
Yep. So, it's a few things, and that's a great question. There's a few things that made me halt. And maybe it's the thinking of that it wasn't possible because let's be honest, when you get in a plane, what do you see? You see a white pilot, you see white pilots, and you're like, oh, it's like, man, I never see a black. So automatically I started thinking like, man, maybe it's too hard. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I just can't do this, So I never did the research. I just used to just look and say, okay, I don't see many of me up there, so I'm not going to do that, But then I started getting out that thinking, like that's not true, You set your mind. I went back to those 0 days. You set your mind to what you want to do and you do it.
You had a Diego moment.
Exactly. Diego moment. Heck yeah, man. Definitely. Second, finances, man. It's not cheap. It's not the cheapest thing in the books. And that's what stops a lot of pilots today or, student pilots. It's expensive, man. It's really expensive. And it's about $120,000 or it depends on what route you take. You can make it cheaper, but it's going to be anywhere from $100,000 to $120,000.
Yeah, but you started the trucking company. That couldn't have been cheap either.
That was not cheap. Yeah, I started small and then I, because the money was coming in, I started, making it bigger. But yeah, it wasn't cheap. You're right, and I was able to get funding for that. That's where I bought my first truck and was able to pay that off and get us, and just keep it going.
Kind of like rinse and repeat.
Exactly. So, and for me, what I was trying to do was, okay, build this up to where I'm like I'm banking in my cost, my worth is going to be over. I'll pay for flight school like that. So that was the plan. Pay for flight school with my trucking company. That was the plan. And that never happened because those expenses were like, yeah, who's going to flight school? Not you, but yeah.
I mean,
man.
Yeah, that's crazy because you said $120,000 a month that we kind of calculated, but then
exactly.
That's what people don't realize. There's a big difference between revenue and income.
Oh my God, yes.
Right, and I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that, and they feel like revenue and income are two of the same things, and they're actually totally different. You can generate $500 million in income, but if your overhead is $499.9 million, you made $100,000 in a year.
Exactly.
So it doesn't, the math doesn't equate to you having wealth, even though on paper your company's going crazy.
Exactly.
Right. And then people don't, I don't know if it's just a lack of just knowledge on how business actually.
It has to be, yeah.
Because it's kind of shocking because you see, oh, but your business made X amount of dollars. Yes, my business made that money.
Correct.
There's things that you don't see, which is what you mentioned, the gas, the maintenance, your employees, right? Your insurance.
Everything.
Right? Everything. And who has to fit the bill for that?
Exactly. So I'm taking out my payroll, my own pockets when I can't meet it, and boom, I saw my first business tax return. I'm like, negative. Oh, okay. So I made no money this year, It's like,
Zero.
yeah, exactly.
Zero.
Yep.
I think a lot of us entrepreneurs are very like it's a very popular thing now to do and to want to aspire to. But I think a lot of people don't calculate some of that stuff and they don't really educate themselves on what the
Exactly.
difference in that stuff
Yeah,
means.
man.
Because on paper and what you're
yeah,
actually putting in your bank account and going
yeah,
in your pocket are
yeah.
totally
Yep.
different things.
People would be like, "Oh man, you got a $7,000 load." I'm like, "Yeah, I got to." All right. Oh man, you make it. I'm like, "Yeah." All right, let's do expense for that. Let's pay the employee. Let's pay the fuel. Let's pay those 2 blown tires on the way from Florida to California. Yeah. How much is left over? Oh damn, -3. Oh wow. Yep.
Yeah, so I lost money on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, and that's how a lot of those loads happen. You get a good one, but you get like 3 bads, you know. So
Yeah,
you had good
exactly.
months and bad months. Exactly,
But
exactly,
anyways, now we're taking that adventure, man, and
exactly.
to be a pilot. I saw that video and I got the chills, I got the emotions because I felt like that passion
Man,
that you had in that video, man.
dude.
And I resonated with that so much because what I saw was just somebody living out. I didn't even know this, to be honest with you, living out a childhood dream of yours.
Yep, dude, man. Look, when I tell you, it's still till this day I get chills. It's so surreal, you know. Like after flying for, I started in March of this year, and just been going to flight school, just been cutting every day, and I went a bit. Everybody learns separately, but it took me a little longer to get to that path of my solo. That day, it was one of those days for me. What's gonna happen today? It was my girl's birthday, my twin's birthday, and I'll never forget, man. I woke up and it's like, okay, flight school in the morning. Here we go. I got on with my instructor. I just did everything I did, everything I did from training. And then I did my second touch and go, and then we did a circle, came back. He said, "Hey, man, you ready to do this without killing yourself?" And I was like, "Huh?" And then when I tell you that smile went from cheek to cheek, I'm like, man, I've been training for this for years. All right, cool. Drop it, just the way it happened. Hey, drop me off, and then I'm gonna sign you off, and then you're gonna do this by yourself. I'm like, oh, what? I'm about to fly a plane by myself? No way. But you know what, man? I think what really hit me is that there's a difference with a 18-year-old doing this and a 35-year-old doing this with, I know. Hey, yeah, there you go. I'm not that old. You see, I'm still young. But like when I look back at, like you said, man, it's been a childhood dream, but now I'm doing this dream for not only myself but for my family now. So when I took off, man, by myself, I just thought about my family. I'm like, I'm doing this shit. I'm in here. I'm like, he's not there. It's just me, So I did my radio calls, man, and I don't know if it's just the moment, man. That was one of my. I came back around. I did my calls. I did everything, and when I tell you, I just touched down. And when I touched down and land, the hardest part of flying is landing. When I touched down, man, it just hit me like, yo, like I didn't even realize. I was just bawling, man, because it's like you practice something so long, you want to do something so long, and you chose the hardest time in life to do it. You have a family, you have mortgage, you have kids, you have bills, and then you chose one of the most expensive careers to do at this time, and you're doing it, And then it just hit me like, wow, like this is happening, man. And finally, it's like it's never too late, man. It's never too late. And some people say, "Oh yeah, I'm 35. I'm too old now."
Yeah,
nah,
right.
man. Heck no. It is never too. I don't care if you're 50, man. Do it. If you're set on doing something, just go after it. Don't look back. Just find a way to get it done and just do it. It's gonna pay off at the end. And the best thing to see with this, my son, who's about to be 6, Dad, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot, Dad. My 16-year-old, who's she's a senior year right now, and she's been seeing what I've been doing for the past 10 years and working aviation. And guess what? Because she's watching me, she has a good foundation and somebody to talk to her to. She just got her Congress letter to write in for the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy because she wants to go to Air Force Academy. So she's been working her ass off, and it's a proud moment for Dad. It's like, dang, like I'm instilling this in my kids so they can be raised into a good foundational or fundamental, learning of what they want to do. Not necessarily just pilot, but whatever it is. If you want it, work hard and go get it. So it's not only for me now, it's for my family. It's like, they see what I'm doing and now look at them. They're going after their dreams. So
That's amazing, man.
yeah, man. It's one of those things like, it's like, I wasn't taught it, and it's not I don't fault I love my parents. They raised me well. I'm thankful for everything. But if I can give back to my kids by teaching them and just, talk and have that, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want in life?
What do you attribute that drive to? Like, I can already kind of figure what keeps you going, which I'm assuming it's probably your family, your twins, your kids, right? Because it sounds like, again, you had that wish, that hope, that dream since you were a kid. So what ignited that? Is it from your parents? Is it from your mom, from your grandparents, from an uncle?
You know what? Two things. My mom, from growing up, from when I was a kid and seeing my mom is the hardest working woman I've ever met.
Shout out to Ms. Mirta.
Yes, Ms. Mom, we love you. I just got a good, and that's why I like business, because growing up in her restaurant, she was loved. I'm gonna tell you a difference, man. I shouldn't say on camera, but she was loved in that restaurant, man. And then she needed a day off. She worked 6 days a week, and she had one day off. She made sure every day we had food on the table. We had clothes on our back. She sent us to school looking fine, and she just took care of us, and that hard work mentality that she grew up with is what I always had. Now, number two, what made me also keep this drive is when my dad went and tried to do his flight school and he didn't finish. So I almost feel like my mission is to finish it for him. My mission is to go out, because he started and he didn't finish because he was taking care of us, taking care of his kids, and it was either flight school or take care of your family. And I got hit with that situation too when I first started flight school at ASU, and I had to stop, but I'm right back at it, So it's kind of like that drive, like, I'm going to finish this. My dad didn't finish. I'm going to pick up the reins for him, and one day he's going to see me fly that plane, commercially. He's going to fly. I want him to be my passenger, so I hope do it in time, and, he can be my, man, that's the dream. So, yeah, man. And man, let me tell you something, man, I don't care who you are, where you come from, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. It's for everybody. I see too much negatives out there, negative talk about, who's supposed to be in the cockpit and not. No. Listen, man, my money is just as green as that person. I have to sit there and take the same test, the same curriculums, everything. I have to go under scrutiny to make sure that I can fly 170, 200, 300 passengers somewhere, and just like that other person. So I don't care what it is, piloting, doctors, we all get qualified to do something because that's what we're qualified to do. Don't let the color of your skin, don't let anything stop you from doing it or tell them that you can't. I got out that mentality, and I just kept looking at the positives. There's going to be 1,000 negatives, but there's going to be that one positive that's going to keep you grounded and driven to, what you want to get. Even you, man, like, I was talking to my wife about you. I'm like, man, we grew up in SeaWorld, and look at him, man. Like, he's doing his, like, look, he got his own firm. He's doing his own thing out here. I'm in good hands. I always know my mom and dad's in good hands because they're in his hands, and it's just like, I seen when you started from the beginning, and you stayed on your drive, man, and look where you're at, man. So it's like, we can come from the hood. We can come from, silver spoon fed, whatever it is, man. If we make something of ourselves, man, I think that's what counts, man. Something where our kids can look and say, like, man, my dad's doing it or my mom's doing it, and I want to be like that, And that's where it starts, that fundamental. So I like to just stay grounded and not let because there's so many negatives out there.
It's always glass half full, not half empty. That optimism, I think, will take you so much further than the pessimism will.
Definitely.
And then I want to shout you out real quick, since you brought up the point about your parents. You were the first friend that referred me their parents.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I think when I initially helped out your dad, That was in 2019,
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yep.
It wasn't quite 2020. He had a little
Yep.
mishap on a phone, and he
Yep.
got disenrolled, and his world got
Yep.
turned upside down.
Remember
Doctors
that.
changed. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you reached out to me. You were like, "Hey, you still doing Medicare?" Da da da. You were the first friend that I had that I knew that referred me their parents. You were
That's
the first
crazy.
one, man.
That's
and then
crazy.
your mom, I think like 2021
Yep. When she retired.
or 2022.
Yep.
She turned 65, and then
Yep.
she became
Boom.
my client.
Crazy.
And then, you know,
And I trusted you, man.
the ripple
Yeah.
effect. Nah, man, I really, really, really appreciate that, man. 'Cause
Definitely, man.
that meant a lot more, I think, than you probably realize or anybody else realizes. Because, you know, most business usually doesn't come from like friends or
Correct.
colleagues. It comes from people outside.
Of course.
And that's terrible. That's
Yeah.
terrible practice, to be honest
Yep.
with you. It's terrible
I
practice.
agree with you. Yep.
So when you reached out to me, I was like, oh, crap, this dude's going to trust me with his parents?
Yep.
So I do right by everybody. I'm very
Yeah.
transparent in how
Yeah.
I do business. That's why I'm still doing this, right? 7
Yep.
years later. And I was like, man, like that's awesome.
Exactly, man. Yeah, they love you just as much, man. And you've been a huge help to my mom and dad. So
No, I appreciate that, man. I remember when I met your father the first time, he was like, you were like my son now. Because Olivier, he's my son now. You're like my son. Because you're my son's friend.
That's exactly.
And I was like, man, and you know, some people will tell you that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, yeah, whatever. But for some reason, the way he said it, I was like, man, like you mean that, man. Like, I feel it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like you're just saying that because to be nice or to be like, I feel it.
My dad.
That was awesome, man. And so, man, again, shout out to Mr. Gerard
Definitely, man.
and Ms. Mirza.
Definitely.
And thank you for that,
man. Because, you know, it's one of those things, like you say, friends and family, they don't look out for, like, I don't want to say look out, but, you know, it's like, it doesn't happen enough, you know?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So now we're doing the pilot schooling, man, which is amazing, right? Tell me what percentage of pilots are minorities, whether they're Black, Hispanic, Asian.
So, you know, it's something I kind of heavily researched even at my company because, you know, being a flight attendant and seeing every other person, and, you know, don't get me wrong. And it goes back to, you know, saying, you know, were you taught this at home, or, you know, did you grow up with an understanding of what you want to do? You know, did you have that guidance as a kid? So, yeah, today you see majority of your pilots are white males dominated, and it is
no women either.
No, white males is the dominant commercial airline. It's 92% white individuals.
This is across all airlines or just Southwest Pacific?
United States. So out of like, I forgot how many pilots. There's about 250,000 commercial airline pilots in the U.S. right now, and 92% of them are white people, white males or whatever. There's only almost 4% Black pilots out of that number. 4%. When I just started at my at a mentor, and then he's like, "Hey man, like hurry up, man. You need to get up here, man. It's not enough of us." I'm like, "What do you mean it's not?" It's like, yeah, it's 8,000. There's way more pilots now, but this was 5-6 years ago. It's 8,000 pilots up here. It's about 80 Black pilots out of the 8,000. And you know, it made sense because every time I saw one, it's like a token. I'm like, like, you know, I'm like, you exist. I'm like, heck yeah, you know? And it's one of those things like, man, it shouldn't be like that. But I'm not sure the number ranking now. But United and Delta has the most Black pilots in America. United and Delta. Really? American as well. Southwest has been lacking on that. But they've been a lot better. They just started attending, well, not just that, they started a while ago attending like the BAP, it's Organization of Black Pilots of America. It's a huge organization now where it's all minority pilots, and they host huge conventions yearly, and then each airline shows up with their booth, and, you know, like they hire on the spot, stuff like that. So Southwest's been getting a lot better, and it's just something we need to see more of, you know, and I think there's just not enough education for Black youth in schools, and, you know, just think you grow up to be military or, you know, this trade worker, but, you know, why not pilots? You know, it is expensive, but still there's ways to be funded. There's ways for it to be paid for. So
do you know the ways that you're able to?
Yeah, man. So I think the biggest thing right now is join those organizations. You know, OBAP is huge. They have scholarship, millions. And the thing with OBAP is that they're so accredited now that where American will come in and say, hey, we'll give $30,000 for this student. You know, if they get them rated, oh, Delta, they'll come in, hey, we'll give you $1 million for this year's programs for scholarships. You know, Southwest, you know, all these companies, and then just pouring money for scholarships, you know, alone. So if you go to accredited college, you can get, you know, half of your tuition paid. You can use financial aid for accredited schools. Of course, loans. You know, loans are everybody looks bad at, but it's not that bad if you're about to make tons of money. A brand new pilots starting brand new at a first job, 22. They start at 97 an hour, $90 an hour starting, you know. So they'll make anywhere from 100 something a year to, you know, when you get to the captaincy, so over like 170 a year, you know. So
Starting out?
starting, man, the $97 an hour to start for a brand new pilot starting.
So what's the qualification to qualify for those scholarships? Is that something you just got to apply for? But do you have to have certain qualifications?
You have to. So a lot of them wants to see that you took the first step of actually getting into a college and getting into an aviation program. Some even want to see that, okay, I did my first, you know, when you do that first private pilot's license, okay, they paid that much money to do that. Let's go ahead and fund, you know, the rest. Some of them start you right at the beginning. So it just depends. There's so many different, but let's say you're looking at commercial airline. Okay, I want to see you have your private pilot's license and you're working on your instrument. They want to see you working on that actual, so they can put it right into that program for you, you know, that rating that you're going for. So there's so many different type of qualifications, but seriously, if you just put yourself in there and you're in the program, you know, a lot of it just sits there. A lot of it doesn't get used. And there's scholarships for, you know, Black minorities, women in aviation, gay pilots in aviation, and all this money never gets used up. And it's
very valuable information, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about it when it comes to airlines. I mean, I never looked into it, but that's great information that you have that and you've seen that.
Yeah, man. It's years of research, years. Because you know what? Like,
you need to write a book.
Maybe one day I will, man, or just do some, you know, public speaking, because one of the reasons why I'm on social media is to share the joy of what I'm doing. I've noticed so many questions I've been getting about, how do you do this? How do you start? I'm like, man, a lot of people are just really uneducated. They just don't know, you know, because it's not something they've, you know, dabbled into. But I've done so much research into that. It's like, man, like I know a lot of this stuff, and I'm just helping people that ask, you know.
You got the blueprint, man.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
I think you definitely got to share that. You got to share that one way or another, man.
Oh,
maybe
definitely.
I don't know. It's social media. There's got to be a way that you can share that information, man, because I think that's valuable. And I think, you know, to your point, seeing somebody of color in that pilot seat, like, you got to be an inspiration not only to your kids,
of course,
but when you do make it to that seat, there's going to be thousands of kids that are going to be like, oh, he's the color of my skin.
Exactly.
So like, because, you know, to your point, like as many planes as I've been on, same thing. You see typically white male, about 6'3", 6'4", you know, well dressed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you see.
Exactly.
You usually don't see a Black, Spanish, Asian, or any other race up there. You see them working the customer service,
of course,
maybe a flight attendant, things like that. But as far as
piloting,
you really don't see that. So that's amazing.
And the stereotypical thing was, you know, many pilots now, like the guys retired, they're 80% military. They come from the military, so they get that. That's another huge opportunity a lot of people don't know about. You go to the military, whatever you do in the military, you could be a military police, you know, infantry, avionics, medical. Once you get out, you have that GI Bill. That GI Bill can be used for your whole. One of my good friends right now, he's a United pilot. He went to the Marines, and then he got out, and then he went to flight school, you know, and then that GI Bill, that thing, it kicks in as green as your money, you know, so it helps you. So there's so many different ways, but that was a separate stereotypical thing. Pilots usually, I came from the military. A lot of civilian pilots, it's harder because, you know, there's so much money. military pays for it. So now you're seeing more and more civilian pilots and people coming in there like that did it on their own, which is, how I'm doing it right now. But yeah, like even I was flying from Cancun, I think once, and I saw my first ever black female pilot. And
What?
I just she was young too, like my age. And I just stopped there and I had to do a double take. And I'm like, and she was busy setting up the flight, but it just melted my heart, man, because it's like, it's so, and even white females, you don't see too many white females.
I was gonna say, you don't see,
yeah,
I can't remember females in general.
Yeah, exactly. So it's getting better, it's getting a lot better. And, we keep talking about it. We just got to talk about it, man.
Yeah, I think I think people in general, they don't use the resource of what they carry in their pocket or in their hand every single day.
Correct.
Like maybe, I think as an entrepreneur, I think you probably attest to this, that we're naturally curious. We want to know certain things, whether it's in our field or whether it's a field that we want to get into.
Always.
Like podcasting. I didn't know anything about podcasting.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let me just try it.
Yeah.
And then here we are, right?
Exactly.
So what did I do? How did I find this information? YouTube University.
That's Google and YouTube,
Google,
right?
ChatGPT,
Yep.
Gemini,
Exactly.
Microsoft Copilot,
Yeah.
right? So you can look up all this information. It's literally, it's never been easier to do anything that you want in your life than right now. It's only going to get better for our kids.
Exactly.
Right? Because back then we had to go to a library, had to pay for the internet. Hey, mom, don't pick up the phone. I'm on the internet.
This tool right here, it can make you millions. Definitely. It's something when you have a true passion for something and you actually enjoy what you do, you just have so much knowledge on it, like I can ask you about your field. You can probably tell me so much things, and it's true, you find somebody
tomorrow.
I know, right? Exactly. And that's just how I feel about the whole airline industry and just, the business of it, just everything that goes in and out of it, but truly it's about the pilot seat for me and knowing so much about it, I can guide somebody from start to finish, that's how much knowledge I have and that's how much I love it. Yeah.
What do you hope your legacy to be for your kids after the book closes on Olivier?
Definitely. So, man, I don't know if I ever thought about it like that, but you know what? One thing I can tell each and every one of my kids, of course I don't want everyone to be a pilot, right? But the main thing is follow your passion. Don't let somebody tell you that you can't do it, because it's gotten done to me and it's pushed me to work harder to get me to where I'm at today. And one piece of advice I want to share is that no matter how hard you work at something, make sure it's something that you actually want to do for you. I see a lot of people that gets into, different careers and different things that they don't want to do it. They're doing it to make somebody else happy, like a parent or, a friend or, trying to prove a point. But if you're doing that thing because you actually truly love it and you want to do it, great. But if it's because the wrong reasons, you're not going to succeed in it. You're not going to enjoy it. And you're not going to want to wake up and do it every day. And that's what leads to, second, third careers, because you got into something and wasted all this time and money to do something that you're not wanting to do. So definitely make sure it's a passion and something that you enjoy and that you want to do. Had I started flying when I was younger, granted, it's never too late to do anything, but I knew all this time what I wanted to do. One of the truest things I can say right now, because I went down that path. I'm talking what I lived. So
you're talking to like an 18, 16-year-old.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't chase the money. The money's going to come. I was chasing money and I started trucking coming. I made a lot of money, but it wasn't fun. It was stressful.
It didn't fulfill you.
It didn't fulfill at all. The money was there. That was the only thing that fulfilled. Not even because it wasn't fun money. I don't know how to say it. It was stress money, But
that's awesome, man. You got some awesome advice. Your journey is amazing, man. Thank you for taking the time for coming on.
Definitely. You know what? Another perk of this job, I'm sitting here in Orlando with my buddy right now. I live in Phoenix and working right now, but I get to take time out of my work day to come and sit down with my buddy and chat. So,
Thanks again for
man.
coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Definitely, man. Until next time, dude. And maybe next time I'll be in that right seat. So we'll see.
Heck yeah, man. Heck
Definitely.
yeah. All right, y'all. So this has been another episode of Blueprints Podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, follow us on Instagram, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you.